Hey folks, welcome to this edition of the Microsoft Cloud Update. This is where I read the cloud blogs so you don't have to. I'm Carl Kishel. We have a lot of updates to share this week, so let's jump right into it. This first update is around Azure IoT solutions. Very cool update here regarding IoT and the Azure platform. Specifically, there's a really unique call out here around workplace sanitation and a partner of ours called Brainlit, who's using Azure Sphere and the Azure Connected Cloud and IoT solutions to come up with a pretty unique way of sanitizing stadiums in this new COVID-19 world. Our next update is around the Microsoft well-architected framework. And this is really some guidance that we are providing around architecture, best practices regarding Azure and deployment of Azure. This particular update focuses on optimization of cloud costs and resources and some recommendations for workload usage on the Azure cloud. So definitely worthwhile checking this one out. Our next Azure update is regarding preparing for what's next. Financial considerations for cloud migration. This is a pretty neat article in that it covers some of the financial areas and considerations regarding Azure and cloud movement in general. Of highlight here to me was around some of the priorities of CapEx versus OpEx, and a really neat understanding and description of where cloud computing falls into and how to leverage these different budget mechanisms for your cloud expenditures. This Azure update is regarding Azure Security Center and some best practices on how to protect Windows Virtual Desktop, or WVD, using Azure Security Center. And this is very timely for a lot of folks who are looking at this new remote learning, remote work world that we're now living in, and how to protect our virtualized desktop infrastructures in the cloud environment, particularly Azure WVD, and leveraging the power of Azure Security Center to help protect your particular WVD host pool architecture, instance, virtual machines, storage, etc. Very, very worth the read here in terms of some best practices on how to secure your WVD infrastructure. Regarding Azure Disk Storage enhancements, this update announces the general availability of Azure Shared Disks and the capability of sharing disks across multiple virtual machines and hosts, regardless if they're both Windows or Linux based. So something to check out if you're interested in sharing storage across multiple hosts. This next post pertains to some best practices on migration to the cloud. And it gets into some details regarding Azure Migrate and some best practices and considerations on using the Azure Migrate tools to help understand what the costs might be, how to optimize any kind of cloud costs that you might incur in doing a migration, and some best practices from both a regulatory perspective and a migration perspective. So definitely check this one out. From Azure now to Microsoft 365, there's a new version of the Microsoft Secure Score tool, and this posting gets into the details of exactly what this new tool and this new version looks like. So there's a public preview that's now available for Microsoft Secure Score in this new version, and some of the new enhancements. This enhancement includes improvements on assessment and scoring models, monitoring improvements, and really a rewriting of some of the output to make it more meaningful regarding your architecture and your environment as it pertains to best practices. And also, it does give you some actions and recommendations on how to improve your score. So definitely must read if you're looking at securing and improving your security posture. This next update is in regards to Microsoft Teams and reimagining virtual collaboration and future of work and learning. And it gets into some details on Together mode. And this is all about connecting people virtually within the same virtual room to give an appearance or perspective of togetherness and some of the ideas behind that. Also, some other enhancements around dynamic view, large gallery view, the future of breakout rooms, video filters, etc. Kind of buried in this particular update is also our focus on social and emotional learning and something called the Reflect messaging extensions. And this will provide folks with the ability to do a poll-like experience to provide feedback on how their day is going, if they like a particular topic, etc. So it's really good to kind of check in with folks to understand emotionally where they might be and providing some feedback either in general or regarding a particular meeting that they're involved in. Our second last update is in regards to consent phishing and how to protect your remote workforce from these application-based attacks. It gets into some good detail in terms of all the phishing mechanisms that are currently out there that bad actors are leveraging to compromise security from remote employees, workers, and consumers. And gets into some ideas and some practices on what these steps could be to protect users from these type of attacks. So definitely well worth the read and some really good insights in terms of how to protect your environment from these different types of phishing attacks. Last but not least, some updates regarding Microsoft 365 and in particular Teams again within the realm of compliancy and security. And a lot of updates here, too many to go over in this brief update session, but I did want to call your attention to some things we're doing regarding risk management and compliancy. So down towards the latter part of this particular post, there's some enhancements we are doing with data loss prevention and our risk management and communication compliancy center that's part of the Microsoft 365 platform. So definitely well worth the read if you want to get an update on what we're doing for risk management compliancy updates regarding Microsoft Teams. That concludes this session of the Microsoft Cloud Update. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share this video with others. Let's get the word out, and we will see you next time.